We are the anime reviewers. I'm Matthew.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Apollo.
Today we're watching 91 Days.
91 Days was animated by Studio Shuka, written by Taku Kishimoto, and directed by Hiro Kaburagi.
I just as a basic statement of how I thought this was really good in that what it was depicting with the mafioso lifestyle of the 28, and just you had the immediate feeling of that noir feel.
Oh yeah.
And the drawing style was absolutely fabulous. But the thing were there any real memorable moments for you guys?
Well, first impressions of the show, I've got to agree with you. This was a good mafia style, definitely Prohibition era, and was very reminiscent also of Baccano in that. First impressions wise, love it. Only seen the first episode, but definitely got to keep watching. Notable moments, starts off with the kid as family and them getting killed by the mob, so...
So for my first impressions, I really love this show. I really enjoy this episode. I think it is a fantastic start to a show.
Mm-hmm.
This one, my favorite thing about this one is it sets up the world very well.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the episode, there are still so many questions.
Yeah.
And the questions are good enough that for me, I wanted to continue, which I did. I've seen the series before. I won't be doing spoilers, but it is absolutely, in my opinion, worth watching. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, it's great. In regards to notable moments, for the first episode, I felt that there was actually quite a bit of notable moments. Like you mentioned, the beginning with the kid and the family. They also do a mid-episode credits, which I thought was very interesting. Not in the sense of, hey, we're going to play the intro song, mm-hmm. but from being a kid to the time in which the show primarily takes place is a 7-year time skip. So they show the credits during that, and during the credits it intersperses with various images, along with a couple of scenes about the world. And I really enjoyed that because it shows off things that are going to be used in the show. It shows off things that are pertinent to the show, like the distillery. It shows off a cigarette pack. It shows off a mural of who are the two characters? The founders of Ramos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a very important. Those two people specifically aren't important to it, but that whole theme of betrayal is very important. There's so much about this that I really enjoyed.
That's somewhere where, in regards to memorable moments, that's something I completely agree with. Getting just pretty much all of it. It's pretty memorable, that whole intro part where he's the kid and he sees his parents get murdered. And it's graphic, but not to a gratuitous point where you're getting all this gore and stuff, but it's graphic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's some stuff in it like with his little brother is absolutely just wow, and just the reactions of it and the difference of how the people react to it.
Yeah, as a quick thing, just to point out for those viewing, this is not an anime meant for kids.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, no.
This isn't like Batman where they cut to a fire going off and then a parent falling. You see the dead bodies. They're not
and you see the blood splatters, and it's and it's very when the guys try and muscle in onto their whiskey distillery in that later part, that's a very memorable scene because you just see how they already kind of established him as kind of this cold character, but they really grab right into that when he beats the guy with the wrench. Was that different? Was that
no, that is.
Okay, good.
But there's a couple characters in there, just so people are clear. So the scene he's referring to, the two primary characters of the show is an individual named Angelo Lanusa is his actual name. In the show, he constantly, when talking to mafia members or introducing himself to many others, refers to himself as Emilio Bruno. And this is because he witnessed what happened to his family, so his concern is if he goes by Lanusa, his family name, they'll target him.
And they did know that there was a survivor that got away.
Yes. But he's the scene Matt was talking about is in his friend's like shabby rundown apartment. His friend's name is Corteo. Yeah. His friend's name is Corteo. And Corteo is making what I believe is supposed to be whiskey or rum. They never specify it.
More than likely it's whiskey.
I'm going to say whiskey specifically because they showed the oak barrels, and later on it was a brown liquor.
That is true. So yeah, whiskey. And he's just selling it. It comes across that he's just sort of selling it like to people he happens to know to get some spare cash. And he gets visited by members of the Orko family.
Dressed as a baseball player, carrying a big bat. Very mafia in a way.
Very
I don't know
mafia
about the baseball uniform, but like them carrying bats was definitely a thing.
But he's meeting with one of the mafia members who's like, oh, you should sell it to us. You'll make way more money than you do now. And Corteo is very much against this. He's like, I want nothing to do with that. I'm not selling it to you guys.
Specifically, he doesn't want to sell to the mafia.
Yeah, that's what it is, specifically. Yeah, he doesn't want to deal with mafia. And he gets roughed up, and his distillery gets bashed in, and then his Angelo comes in and whoops ass with like
just comes
ranch.
In with one swing, comes behind and knocks him out.
Yeah,
which, going to your thing real quick, my first impression about the character. So my first impression about the character had been that it wasn't that it was cold and calculating, it was that he didn't have hesitation. And that was the key distinction I wanted to make with him. When he saw the thug, he came in without hesitating, took him down. When they went to put the flame out, as they're discussing it, he just reaches in, snuffs the candle as a kid.
Yeah, I just interpret that differently. And then the third thing that I would definitely say was very memorable to me was that part at the around the end where they're meeting up with like this bit. They're selling their whiskey to another mob guy. And they don't really do too much to explain who he is at first until another mafioso guy from the Orca family again, or Orso family? Orco family. Orco family comes in and just basically has a guy playing it inside and then steals the Thompson from the door guard, and then they all have to escape, and then there's that big reveal. There's the reveal of who they were looking for, and it was to me it was obvious from the very beginning. I'm like, this guy who looks all disheveled and stuff is around all these nice looking dudes, these dudes that are clearly in some way they're gentlemanly, the way they're dressed. They're very why would they even be associated? They're showing him with a great deal of respect, and also how the camera, he's always in frame instead of when they show the reaction, he's in the center of the frame. He's in the background, but he's in the center of it to where you can see his face quite clearly. And I'm I knew he was who they were looking for. It's the guy with the beard, and then when he takes off his beard and he's like, I'm an anime character. I can just gel my hair with my hand goo, and then I have a great chin beard. Those are the most memorable. Those are my most memorable moments. What about what was it any key moments that really stuck out?
Well, we have mentioned a couple of them, but going back to one you'd mentioned, just with that character specifically, I knew that was the one they were after because they'd mentioned that, or the bartender of the place had mentioned that they had probably stolen the alcohol, and the gang coming in was like, hey, we got alcohol stolen from us. So obviously that's who they're after. But the thing is, they're looking for a member of the mafia, and you've got a kind of dandy-looking guy in the group, and then the rugged-looking one. So it's meant to give you the impression they might be looking for the dandy. So I think that's one point. Also, though, what quickly gives it away, and which you had kind of hinted at, was the bartender had initially refused to buy from the main characters. It was the scruffy one who had actually stopped and tested the alcohol to see if it was worth taking. And I was like, oh, this is actually really good stuff. We're interested. Which means he also overrules the bartender in that sense. And
I don't think there's. I guess the only other additional interesting thing I found out.
Well, I was referring to like key moments that like not just
Not-
like,
not-
not,
well,
just
okay.
something that sticks out to you, like a key moment in like the overall plot. Like,
I think we covered all of them. I think the only other key thing is the fact, because the individual they're looking for, Nero, is the one. At the beginning of the episode, when the family's getting killed, Nero is there. So I think that's the only other. It's not a specific key moment. It's connecting to. That's all I wanted to bring up was the fact that like they're looking for Nero Venetti,
yeah,
right?
yes,
Venetti?
Venetti.
And Venetti's the family that killed Angelo's family, and Nero was there. So it's just that was the only thing is that I felt was. Yeah, it's not a specific one. It's connecting the two. That's all.
Well, yeah, and that's why it's not necessarily like an overall memorable moment. It's that key moment. That's why I was like this. That's like why why I brought that up. Is like, is there anything that is worth mentioning that wasn't necessarily addressed in our initial type of reaction? Remember, stuff that just pops right out and jumps.
That was the only last thing for me is
like that
connection.
Yeah, that's something I really liked about this. Like, to kind of, like, is there any other kind of, like, thoughts that you guys have that you want to say?
As one thing on our first viewing of this that I feel is worth mentioning, the opening to this anime is so good that when those mid-credits started to roll, I genuinely thought that was the first episode. I was satisfied with just that much.
Yeah, me too, actually. I felt the exact, we were all like, and even you.
Yeah,
You
because it's been a while since I've seen it, so I was like, I think that may have been it.
And it was that good, and it's so fast. It's like one of those. It's like it's like one of those 15-minute shows. If you watch any shows that have that, they're just 15-minute segments, and they're like mixed in with other stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's like FLCL, I think, is one of those shows that isn't it a half?
No, that's a full.
That's full.
Because I remember, well, Invader Zim, yeah, like those kind. Invader Zim, oh, I love that show. But that's something I really liked, is how fast paced it was, but it wasn't, in no way was it jarring. It was just like, I was like on an intense roller coaster that was just so captivating that I was like, it's already over, and it's like, wow, it was so easy to believe that was 20 minutes, and it felt like 5.
Because it pulls you in. You don't even feel the time going by through that first segment. And then it's like, wait, that was only halfway. Cool. There's more of this.
And then the next half of the story, after, which I love that they do that, make that artistic choice of having the credits in a mid credit, because that way it kind of breaks up, and then it makes the time jump nice, and you introduce who everyone is. Mm-hmm. But that second part where they're distilling the wine and they're introduce themselves to Nero, getting in close to Nero. And you're seeing that, like, those kids are, and you're getting to know more about the kids, and you're seeing all the characters that are going to be most likely major players in the plot. Mm-hmm. It's very good.
Yeah. As another note, this anime apparently takes place in 1928. And, respectively, the Mafia had a 1928 model of Thompson. But for the sake of understanding that, the 7-year time jump then puts this at 1921 when the story starts, and Prohibition started in 1920. So this was early Prohibition when the Mafia had taken over. I believe they'd said that the guy leading the group who had broken into his house had killed the previous Don.
Yes.
And so then I think that the main character's dad was like their accountant or something, because he was after their books.
Yeah, he was after their ledger. It's unclear whether he was an accountant or just like a trusted confidant type.
But where they need that information for the new regime, essentially, because times have changed, Prohibition started, it's only been a year in, there's going to be a radical shift, I think, was what they're trying to drive in with that time saying as well.
Yeah.
And this guy's trying to capitalize on it as best he can.
Well, any final thoughts?
It's a good episode. I definitely look forward to seeing more, and I recommend watching more.
Yeah, absolutely, watch it. Watch more.
Yeah, my final thoughts is it's basically as simple as theirs of it. I enjoyed it, I look forward to watching it, and I'm not really worried about getting bored because of I'm a big fan of the style in every way. Thanks for watching. We're the Anime Reviewers. I'm Matthew.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Apollo.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Woo! Hi everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video.
If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And please follow us on Twitter.